So I want to review the 2021 film Come On, Come On, and it's starring the legendary Joaquin Phoenix. And this film is about him. He's playing an uncle to a nephew, and he also has a sister who is this kid's child. And what happens is that he takes this kid across America, and while his sister and his brother-in-law are like taking care of each are hanging out with each other. His dad suffers, or the kid's dad suffers from severe mental illness like paranoia and other psychosis. So the mother just needs time to kind of work on that while Joaquin Phoenix takes his nephew across America. And I think that, like towards the end of this film, they have very powerful performances, but a majority of this film was really, really terrible. I actually got in trouble at the movie theater. This is something that I caused. Like I was playing on my phone a bunch of times because, in the back of the theater, still, but I was playing on my phone because a lot of this film was just straight boring, and it was extremely repetitive. Like it was just, conversations after conversations, philosophical dialogue after philosophical dialogue, them reading essays that have some philosophical point that you can apply to the movie, but actually it really doesn't go anywhere until the end of the film. And I wanted to say, like, towards the end of the film, the nephew realizes that he's going to be living back with his mother and possibly his father soon. So Joaquin Phoenix is telling this kid, just to say things, like the world's fucked up and I don't get it, instead of just holding in all these emotions. And that's kind of the main theme of this film. The main message is that, there are things like dysfunctional families, or when kids like are put with other family members for a while, they grow a bond and then they have to go back to their regular life. And most of the time, adults don't really think about like how that is very hurtful to the kid. Just, well, we're gonna pass, like we're gonna hot potato the kid, but each time you hot potato a kid, you're just putting in abandonment issues. But I felt it was very, very powerful when he's teaching his Joaquin Phoenix was teaching his nephew to just really have emotions and really be upset because he is upset, instead of saying things that I'm fine and whatever. Because it also speaks to my generation. I was born in 1987, but my generation and generations prior, we kind of believed in toughing it out, soldiering on. That if you ever showed emotions, your father would give you the back of the hand, the front of the hand or the back of the hand, because life's not about you. And then I also remember when I was a kid, and this is just ball busting, but my parents told me, because we moved around so many times, that, like our kids are just like our luggage. And that always stuck with me, and that always kind of hurt me that he said that, because, that just made me feel like that was a perfect encapsulation to this movie and a lot of what a lot of other children face when they have, when they switch around between different family members taking care of them, or when they're moved around a lot, that, a lot of the adults don't really care about their feelings to a point that where they're almost like, human luggage basically. But I think that this movie does that very well, where they talk about, what it's like for a kid to go through that. But I think that unfortunately it gets very, very deterred by the lead actor, who is a kid. I don't remember his name, but they don't give you not a lot of character time outside of him having conversations with his uncle. So it looks like a poor man's Pulp Fiction. Them just talking about having random conversations about this and that. There's two times in the movie where he kind of runs away and you have some character depth with him, but it's not enough. It's not like Belfast, where the camera's more on him versus Joaquin Phoenix. But I can see Joaquin Phoenix being nominated for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor, because they usually do like to do long nominations. But otherwise, this wasn't a great film. The other thing about this film was that it was filmed in black and white, and I think like towards the ending, I kind of understood that. Like I think what they're trying to aim for was that basically, this Joaquin Phoenix character is this guy with a sound recording going across America, interviewing children, asking them what they think of the future. And so it's almost like, the whole film is about looking towards the future. And obviously this kid is, his nephew and himself have both emotional issues. So they're both kind of like stuck a little in the past, or they're stuck with their present. They're never looking to the future. So I think that the idea of black and white kind of showing them kind of almost trapped with what's going on, not looking to the future because they're disturbed, not looking to their future. I think that was a good creative choice. I also liked it because, like, at the end scene, they're in New Orleans, and when it gets to a climax where his nephew has to kind of represent and realize that, I'm fine doesn't mean you're fine if you're being emotional with it, or him saying that he's fine after he finds that he's moving with his back to his mother. It's not fine when he runs away, and he's just like lying about how he feels, even though he's clearly upset because he developed a bond with his uncle. I like how that scene was like filmed in like New Orleans, where you see like these really large cypress trees and everything like that, because it kind of emphasized like how small he is compared to the bigger problem of this world. Like, it was a good use to scale, but otherwise this whole film was filmed in black and white. I think, like, outside of the thematic purpose, it was really just to no other meaning to it. I think one other bad thing about this film is that I thought this was filmed in the 1970s until they said Airbnb and Katrina. Just because, they don't show like any modern cars or whatever, and they show this guy traveling city to city, so there was really no like evidence until later on the film. You mentioned the iPod, the iPad, screen time, Airbnb, and something else. It's gonna come back to me, but I did not know that this film was like took place in the 2010s. I thought this was either filmed in 2006 for a majority of the film, or in the 1970s or something like that, because even his microphone equipment looks like stuff that they had back in the 70s. So and then also there was a documentarian asking children during the 1960s about like what's the future going to be like in the year 2000. And then there's also someone who did that in the 70s, where he like or 80s, where he interviewed a bunch of children and then saw them 20 years later. So I kind of just think that that because the stories was, I think that was like very bad, that I kind of figured it out. And then that was kind of what I was saying, is that there was a lot of dialogue and really no plot. So, just a lot of random conversations. And like I said, it's a poor man's Pulp Fiction. They were just talking about random shit. And also, like, the characters were dancing with each other, playing with each other, playing silly games or whatever. Yes, it establishes character, but if you do it a majority of the film and you're having the same shot choices, you're picking up different people's conversations, and they're not related to the story, you're wasting time. It really doesn't translate. And like I said, that it's completely my fault, but it really wasn't until a security guard walked up to me and say, "Pay attention," or "Get out," that I actually pay attention to the movie and I really watched it. But I think that, and I hate to say this, but I think when you watch like thousands of films like I've done, you see the acting, you see like where the story's going to go. And I clearly kind of saw it as them saving the best acting moments towards the very end, like in a couple of scenes, when, a good acting performance is when you do it throughout. The other thing that I kind of saw was, like I said, a poor man's Tarantino, just random dialogue that really went nowhere, and then at the end he kind of had it. But I think once they got to New York City and they were establishing the relationship that they have, it was more clear about what the story was about. And it really kind of showed how this kid struggled, but not super deeply, but to a certain level. But if they showed him struggling more deeply, I think this would be a more powerful film. I think that this deserves a cinematography nomination, and definitely Best Actor for Joaquin Phoenix. Otherwise, it doesn't deserve any other awards, even though this is award show season. But I think it was definitely a great. It was a greatly shot film. Joaquin Phoenix acting was really good. He had a couple of good scenes, but not the bulk of it. But I do think that this is one of these films that are going to be hyped up for an Oscar when it doesn't deserve a win or a nomination, even in most cases.